And although people don't know about you in this very moment, the world would know soon. That's how you have to look at it. That's how I look at it on certain things. Like, it's cool, okay, but just keep going. Eventually, it's gonna happen.
That's all.
You just have to keep going, and it has to be within to know, like, in a humble way, I could do it.
Tuesday, man. I hope you guys had a great Tuesday out here. We're based in Phoenix, so a little recap of what we are, who we are, for the new people out there that are watching. You know, we have a brand called BHD, Blessed, Humble, Determined, and specifically in this show, we put out a production week to week, and it's called Keep Grwng, where we get on, talk about how dudes can hold themselves accountable to living better lifestyles, whether that's, you know, managing money, learning how to take a trip on their own, be independent, or just in general, just managing life in a way that they are putting themselves first and, you know, growing in their faith, growing in their mindsets, and just growing in the habits that they're making. So, bro, we've been doing this officially. The 23rd is a year.
Wow.
A year.
Really?
Yeah. I was looking back at everything.
That was the first episode?
First episode. The first of our thing, yeah. Okay. The first of our thing was the 23rd. It's crazy how different we look, man.
I was just gonna say that. It's crazy. You can see like the elevation and just like
I love stuff like that. No, yeah. Just seeing how things evolve. Yeah, blonde. You bleach your hair, actually.
Yeah, the first episode.
That's crazy. Yeah. I remember that. So I think just to stay in line with it, y'all just keep growing, man. From, you know, the time last year to this year, just think of those things that you did really well. So that way you're able to keep accomplishing goals and, you know, not get into a steady pace of like just being bored with the same routine. I think one thing that our big time boss came in and talked about in a meeting today before we get into it is, you know, how blessed we are to be living. Like, it's a short life. She was talking about, like,
that's real.
She was talking about that, and she was saying how, you know, you never know when your time is up. And I think when you hear it from like these chief officers or like CEOs, and it hits a little bit deeper because we start to think that they're not human beings. But when they can bring you down to like a level setting pace of like, look, it's not about work. It's not about what you're doing tomorrow. It's not about what you're worrying about. It's about just being at peace now and being blessed with what you got.
Yeah, that is real. That's real. I mean, we do get caught up in just like the everyday task of life. And that can take away from a lot of times what's real, what's honest. That's one of the things that was being preached about on Sunday in regards to like really making time for God, because there's so many other things that just life can offer, or just like responsibilities and things like that you do have to like really assess, like, nah, what really matters? What really matters?
Real.
And that comes from just an internal space that one has to come from. But like you said, life is real, and like in the grand scheme of things, it's short. Like, it's short. So it's like, you do have to like, I mean, we have responsibilities and things that we have to adhere to as adults, but certain things just don't matter for real.
No, you hit it spot on. And usually we are reactive to those things, right? Like for us to get back to ground zero, we have to be knocked back to ground zero than putting ourselves out of our own volition there. Yeah. And I keep that at the forefront of everything that I do, bro. Like, I live a very productive life and it can get clouded very easily. But I think even when I get, multiple things in my day and I'm doing certain things, I still think about like, all right, just ground yourself, like relax for a little bit or chill out. Like when I get in a car and society is telling me like, no, you're running late to the gym. I'm like, nah, like I'm going to take my time getting there. There's no reason to drive 100 miles an hour.
What's the rush?
What's the rush?
What's really the rush?
That's what, and I think we got to be better as men, just pulling ourselves out of that. And sometimes it's easy for it to reflect your mood of the day. Maybe you woke up at 6:30 for the gym the day before. The next day you woke up at 7:30, got to the gym at 8. As long as you're not late to work, that shouldn't matter. Yeah. You still woke up, you still went. And I think there are small, fine things that you can still give yourself grace for without it being, a fantasy of like, oh, like I'm delusional. I haven't been in the gym in 3 days, but it's because it's been tough. No. Like that's wrong. But waking up an hour later for the gym, you still went. You found time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I believe it's in the book we both read, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I believe it's in that book when it talks about sometimes you just have to realize this is how the day is going.
Yeah.
This is just how it's going, and you just adjust with it. But a lot of times, like how you were saying, you use the example of, being in the car and feeling like, okay, I need a rest to get to the gym. And it's like, well, it's just the smallest shift of the mindset of being like, well, this is just how it's going. That gives you the space to be like, I'm gonna take my time.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. This is just how the day is going. But the adverse of that is I need to go to the gym. Then I need to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Then I need to come back. Then I need to make food. And it's like, nah, you don't really need to do all of that for real. Just understand this is how the day is going. There are things that you might need to do, but realize what's really important. Like certain things you just might have to be like, all right, I'm not gonna be able to do that today. I'll do that tomorrow. And it could be things you really do on a daily. Like for me, like I read pretty much every day. Sometimes there's so much going on throughout the day. It's like, I just genuinely might not be able to read today. And that's just how it goes. And that's cool. But I can't be under the mind frame like, I have to. And if I don't, it's going to mess my day up and it's going to mess this up. And I'm going to have that's just how it's going to go. Yeah. That's just what it is. I'll read tomorrow or I'll squeeze time in and maybe get a few pages in. But I think hopefully, people take on that, the mindset of the understanding. Sometimes it's cool to just realize like, this is just how it's going and just be okay with that and know like, okay, God willing, you wake up tomorrow, you'll do it the next day.
Yeah. That's a great point, dude. I think just having those planned items have to be flexible. I think it's good to have that plan, but you just, you said a perfect point in the book. Like it talks about maneuvering your day with having the areas of like, all right, if I don't hit this at this time, it's cool. I'll come back to it tonight when I know I have maybe 30 minutes. And if that's 2 pages, that's 2 pages of information I didn't know.
Absolutely.
If that's 1 page, that's 1 page of reading that I didn't read the day before. So I think like routine and progress it's not like a substantial jump. And we see it too many times where it's like, oh, the guy that had nothing that now is making millions. That's cool and all. But we're not talking about the in the weeds stuff that got him there where he probably went up a little bit and then he dropped. And then he went maybe half an inch that time. He didn't jump right away. And I think those are the missing parts that people got to understand. It's like, it's not a day and night thing. And it's so easy to live that way. So all in all, man, I think, as men out here, we really got to be consistent with doing the work and making sure that the time isn't playing a factor into our daily moods and our day-to-day of what we're doing. So if you can do that, you're going to be living a pretty good life. I will say that it's not always going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty good. And that's more than a lot of people are living right now. So, but today, bro, I know we had a good little opener right now. It was a good conversation to get things started, but I want to touch on something that we had a conversation on this past weekend for some of the festivities that we were involved in. And it ties around the conversation of, do you feel like as men that it is macho to be hood and to be ghetto? Is that being pushed by exterior people so that they could fit a certain stereotype in order to feel tough or to feel more attractive in ways to, we're just going to say exterior things?
Well, I think that there is definitely, we could say there's a push from a multitude of things, like music.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I say exterior things. Like it could be a lot of things.
For sure. But those things, that's a good point, because there are just a multitude of things to which the push can come from. But there definitely is a push. Yeah. There's definitely a push towards it. And one has to take on the mind frame of like realizing like, yo, don't get tricked out of your position. Really. And I mean that in the sense of like, yo, you are who you are. And being whatever archetype of what you think is desired or whatever you think comes with that, it's like, yo, if that's not you, there's no need to try to like assimilate or be something that's not you. Because it's ultimately, you're going to revert back to who you are. So it's pushing in any regards to something that you're not, it's never going to work. Because ultimately your true form is going to show, or something is going to happen to where you're going to have to either show what you're portraying or be who you genuinely are. Yeah. So regardless of what you think people might like or what's desired or what the look is, just be you. Just be you. Because again, anything that's like along those lines will for sure trick you into possibly doing things that'll put you in a real situation.
Yeah.
Or get you jammed up.
And sometimes you can't come back from that.
Exactly. Or have you in certain situations to where you feel like you need to operate or express yourself in a certain element to where it's like there's repercussions for that. So just be you at all times.
Yeah, that's a great point, bro, to start this conversation off of. And I think it ties into everything, like identity as a whole. Because I know I shared the story this weekend of like the certain type of friends that I've always been accustomed of having. And you made a good call out of like, bro, just like, don't worry, just be you. Like continue to be you.
Absolutely.
And I think there was maybe a moment in my time where I was struggling with that in my early or my late teens. But I think once I found that, right, it was like, I mean, people, they're going to gravitate to you when they know they can see your genuine side of things. Absolutely. That's why I say we're not dumb people. Like we may be less mature in certain areas of our life, but people know what genuineness looks like. So if you show that off the bat, I think we can argue that more often than not, the people that have like a community and a skill set of building community are usually genuine people.
For sure.
Now, the ones that can manipulate situations, they're far from many. Yeah. But I think in general, you just see more positive results when you're able to just look at yourself. But to kind of get back into the point of like the push in all this, I think it comes down to just, a lot of what's in front of us, bro. Social media we talked about last week after the podcast and this weekend, the media we're consuming, and I mean, areas that people are coming from. It's like it's like you said perfectly, and I hope you can touch on that again of what we talked about last weekend. But just because you come from somewhere, that doesn't mean that's got to be your life. You know what I'm saying? So if you could touch on that a little bit and however you feel like, I think that'd be a good point to get into with some of the guys that watch this, bro. Yeah.
And I'll start off with this example because what we're talking about kind of makes me think about something that, we all experience just in the sense of, so for New Year's, we stepped out. And I mean, granted, we're in a spot, there's a lot of commotion going on. And I tell you and everybody that we're with, like, hey, look, I'm going to step to the back.
Yeah.
I'm going to step to the back. And I'm saying that because there was a lot of commotion going on in regards to, what I mean? Like people bumping and things like that. And to know self is to just know who you are. So before anything happens or before you start to operate in a certain space, alleviate yourself from that. Because that's why I say getting tricked out of your position in regards to like, now you're operating in from a certain emotion or you're operating in a certain space. And it could be who you are, but at the same time, it's like, there's no need to, if you can alleviate from that. Right. So what did I say? Hey bro, I'm stepping to the back. Like it's a little bit too much going on. I'm gonna step to the back. So why I use that example is, and again, for life, to answer your question, like there's really no need to, wherever you're from, and it's irregardless of environment. Yeah. But if you do come from a certain environment, just because you're from that doesn't mean you're of that. So wherever you're from, and again, I can't say one environment or another, I'm just talking environment. Whatever that environment is, and you can put whatever title on the environment you want, you don't have to operate, act like, showcase, disseminate certain traits that are oftentimes tied to certain environments. You can be from that, understand what it is, and be like, no, I know how to adjust. I know how to peep certain things. I know how to like operate in certain spaces, but that's not me. That's not me. This is who I am. And that's why I say, again, to tie it back in, don't get tricked out of your position. Yeah. Because to get tricked out of your position is to be like, nah, I need to act like this. I need to show this. I need to react like this. I need to do this. And it's like, well, you're not thinking about what's the byproduct of that or what's going to be the effect of what you're doing. And again, it doesn't matter where you're from, having a cognizant mindset to be like, all right, let me assess the situation. I'm not feeling this. Hey, I'm going to step to the side or I'll be over here. Right. Or I'm going to be like, it's just having a certain mindset. So I'm saying that to anybody in a sense of like, yo, it doesn't matter where you're from or what you, be who you are. Right. Be who you are. And there are going to be other people from that environment or maybe not from that environment that'll also be like, yo, bro, I understand. I get it. And I'm the same way too. So you don't have, again, don't get tricked out of your position by feeling you need to be something just because it's pushed or you feel like I need to be like this because this is attached to who I am. Yeah. Nah, there's no need for that.
No, that's beautiful, dude. And I think, like our psyche, and I'm sure a psychologist can answer this, but like our psyche tends to pull us, especially at a young age, right? Mm-hmm. We want things that we don't have. Oh, it's Pops. Hold up real quick, yo. Let me answer this. Hey, Dad. I'm on a podcast right now. It's all right. I love you. I'll call you after. Be safe. The pops.
Indeed. Keep that in there too.
Yeah, bro.
Indeed.
We're taking so many different angles, bro. But to share a little bit more, our boss was talking about how she lost her mom. Or no, her dad. She lost her dad. And her dad was her like best friend ever. And she's talking about it, and it's like, bro, that sits with you for real. For sure. You know? And she was like, she was telling us how like it's been a very hard year for her. And she lost another family member in her early 20s. And I'm like, bro, thankfully, you know, it's just been one in the last few years, but I couldn't ever imagine losing my pops or my mom. So I like, and the point is, bro, like with moments like that, I'm always going to answer.
You should.
Always going to answer.
Every time.
And if I can't, like if I'm in a meeting, I'm not going to answer it over my boss talking, send him a text, hey, let me call you back real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, especially if there's loved ones out there, y'all, like just be sure to answer. You never know what's going to happen. It's a crazy world out here. Real. People do things that we don't know why they do them. It's just, that's just how life works. So just expect to always, you know, always to answer the calls that your loved ones are sending you. So that way you don't have to be in the position if something does happen. But like I was saying, bro, to get back to the point, like we tend to want things coming from a two parent household. I didn't want it, but like you're attracted to like, oh wow, like I wonder what that lifestyle is really like. Cause I grew up with going to like probably the lowest poverty elementary school and middle school or in my area. It was definitely a hood. And, you know, I just had friends from kindergarten to sixth grade or to eighth grade that, bro, they were all in gangs. Like, you know, I had a few like friends that played ball that, you know, they were fine. They had two parents too, but majority of the guys that I hung out with on a day-to-day basis, they were not living the life that I was living. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I wanted that, but it's like I had questions because I didn't know what that looked like. I had only seen that, again, media, movies, songs that I was listening to, talking to them. So you have this question in your mind, and you're just like, what does that look like? It sounds like a movie. To me, that sounds like a movie. So you're living out a movie. And the way they talk about it is like from a hype standpoint of like, oh yeah, like carrying themselves with a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of toughness. We don't know how to process that, but that's how it comes off at that age. Yeah. So, but they're looking at me like, bro, you get 3 meals a day cooked at home? Like, I want to go over there. Yeah. So I just think there's this odd psyche thing, man, that we tend to be curious about the things that we don't have. And if we get, like you talked about, if we get ourselves in one situation, that could be the situation that changes your life for good or for bad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to, I'm going to keep reiterating the word, getting tricked out of your position. Yeah. That's really what it is. Yeah. And you don't want to get tricked out of it because the reality is there are people that might put you in a situation because they know you're in a better situation and they might do certain things to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this because it's going to trick them out of his position or it's going to make them react a certain way or do something. Or there are just times where people might feel like they need to operate a certain way because of what they think might be attractive or they think that's what's desired or they think that's what could get them just certain things. And it's like, well, if that's not you, then you're not even going to know how to maneuver within that space. Yeah. And then the byproduct of that is you getting tricked out of your position of you just being who you are. So not to overuse that word, but I really mean that, like, just don't allow that to happen for anybody because the reality is you are who you are. Like, and regardless, I understand having intrigue for certain situations, certain environments, certain people, just certain situations. That's natural. There's going to be a certain level of intrigue. But once somebody starts to try to take on certain characteristics or be certain things, it's like, nah, just be you. There's millions of people just like you. You're your own individual, but there are other people that can relate to you. Even wherever situation you're from, that are still like, nah, I'm from this situation, but I'm like you too. I'm not like that, or I'm not of that, but I'm from this. And there are people that are just like you. So again, just to leave it at that, it's like at all times, just be you. It sounds cliche, but it's just very, very, it's honest. It's just be you at all times.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when it comes down to it, and you come across these people, right? Like you say that align with you, and you sit down and you have conversations at our age. It's like they come from scars just as much as you come from your own scars, but bro, those scars never leave.
Yeah.
And I think as much as it can be attractive to people in certain areas, or it can be seen as toughness or loyalty or whatever it is that you want to call it, there's real damage that was done on both ends. You know what I'm saying? Like in their own different ways. And I think the easiest way to talk about this is it's a comparison model. We're too busy comparing like what your situation looked like to mine. Yeah. And yours is more valid because you had to do a little bit more on your own, which why are we glorifying that? We should be looking at that and being like, bro, are you good?
For sure.
Like for real, like, are you good? Like, do you need like real care? Do you want to talk about it? But all we're doing is glorifying you and talking about how independent you are, how strong you are, how much money you're making. But we're not even talking about the real thing that matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I get exactly what you mean. That's what we're saying on the ride back from Las Cruces. Pain comparison.
Yes.
A lot of times people pain compare. Oh, I've been through this, so this is more than what you've been through. Or you've been through this, so this is more than what that person's been through. And it's like, no, pain is pain. Situations are situations. At the root of it, everybody's dealing with something. So to compare because you might have been through more doesn't alleviate or give you the advantage because you've been through more and you think that person's been through less. Like, it doesn't matter. What could be less to you could affect that person a lot. And what could be a lot to you.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? What could be a lot to you, God he knows all of us. So you can just handle certain things. That other person might not be able to handle it. And what they go through, even if you've been through a lot, you might not have been able to handle that one particular situation.
That's true, bro.
You just never know. Yeah. So when I hear people or see people pain compare, I can tell it's usually from a place of pain, which I understand.
Yeah.
But there's a lack of like real understanding of the situation. That pain is pain. So whatever you go through, you're dealing with it. But when you're looking at that person, even though you might be like, that's slight, it still affects them.
Does.
So it's pain, and you can't ever compare how that person's pain is internal in comparison to what you feel just because you feel like what you've been through is more extreme.
Right.
That's wrong. And it doesn't matter because, again, pain is pain. So when I see people or I hear people pain compare, I often look at it like, there's a lack of perspective, or you also don't know real pain for real. Because if you did, you would never compare, like pain compare. You just wouldn't. You would look at it like, wow, okay. Even if you think that might be slight, that did something to you, or you felt something from that, and you leave it at that.
Yeah, bro.
But that's as simple as it is. Whatever you think it might be, you just leave it at that for what it is for that person. Because you don't know how they're internalizing it or how that felt in the moment, or, you know, you just never know. So that's one thing that I never do. I know we've spoken on that before, but I never pain compare because it doesn't matter. Like, no, pain is pain.
Because it's coming from a place of like wanting to be seen and felt, right? Exactly. Like, unless you're coming from like a huge ego trip from a man's perspective of like, bro, I'm just bigger than you. Like, I've seen more things than you, and I could teach you something. Bro, you just ruined an emotional aspect in yourself that you can't come back from in certain areas, bro. Like, I'll be short-winded with this, but I had the unfortunate experience of seeing somebody pass, a young one pass in front of my eyes. And till this day, I don't feel like I've ever come back from that. No. And there's like certain things that will come across news outlets now that I see, and it's like videos, and I'm just like, I don't even flinch because it's like, bro, I've seen that in real life. For sure. And I'm sure you could probably speak on that too. And once that element is taken away, it's like when you keep knocking down certain areas in your life and you keep going and there's just not an ending point, you get numb to certain things like that. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like if you chew tobacco and you continue to chew it, it's not going to have the same feeling anymore. It's the same thing with situations like that. Once you cross that line, in this case, it was seeing a very young woman her life was taken right in front of my eyes at a party she shouldn't have been at. It does something to you. And I would tell anyone that's never seen that or that's never been in a situation like that, like, don't ever be curious about wanting to be in something like that, because man, it really shapes how you view life, and
it never leaves you.
It never leaves you.
For sure. And that's why I say with pain, with real just situations, if one understands what it is, they usually have a level of perspective on it. Because again, the person that's been through the most, or I don't want to say the most, but someone who's been through great lengths of pain and suffering, when they see or they come in contact, there's almost a level of, for sure, like empathy, but there's a real level of understanding towards it. There's never going to be like when you watch movies of warriors or leaders that have fought in multitude of battles, they usually have a certain level of empathy to situations.
Yeah.
They're not boisterous because they understand what being in a battle really is. They've seen certain things. So when again, I like 300 is one of my favorite
Leonidas,
movies.
bro. I was about to say Leonidas.
It's one of my favorite movies. He's a warrior, but he has empathy on situations. He's never he goes into solitude when he needs to think. He's never pointing a finger. Like there's a very specific part where one of his comrade, like his brothers, his son gets his head sliced in the movie at battle, and he had empathy for him. He had real empathy for him. They had a conversation, but you could tell in the conversation that they were having, there was sorrow, but they were also warriors. So there was a certain level of emotion that they just couldn't show, but there was empathy towards it. And I just use that example of anybody that's gone through and seen and just seen real things. If they understand what it is, there's going to be a level of just resolve within them to show a certain level of, there's just a disposition that's garnered through that. There's no finger pointing. There's no, I've seen this. You've never seen that. You don't know what this feels like. It's none of that. It's internalized as to, you know what I mean? Even if I don't know what that is, or even if I might feel like that's not that much to me, that means something to you. And we leave it at that because that's all it is. It's pain. And you can't compare pain and how somebody internalizes it and, oh, that might be slight, so why did that affect you? Right. It doesn't matter. It's pain. And you leave it at that. You operate off empathy and you move forward. So, yeah, man, I just say that, not to be long-winded.
No, that was good, bro.
I say that to say, like, yeah, man, that just pain comparison is honestly weird for real because everybody goes through it. So to compare is almost like you're not understanding what you should take from it.
And I'll leave the conversation or the topic that we're having a conversation about with this. A lot of times the people that have experienced that pain that you talked about and have that perspective don't play the tit for tat type deal.
Never.
They'll sit back and, like you said, they won't say anything. They'll process and be like, okay, what's next? Yeah. Because it's not about winning for them
at all.
Because they know exactly what feelings that happened, and they're not trying to feel that anymore. They're trying to continue to move on day to day because it probably still pops up in their day at the most random times, or they see something and it's a cue of like, oh, I remember that one time, and they've worked so hard to get themselves to a spot to where they can finally be present. They can finally have moved on, and I think as men, it can take us a while to move on from certain things that just really hit us in a pain way. So yeah, bro, I think everything you said was beautiful and right on point because it is serious. So the next topic that I want to have, or next conversation I want to have with you is, in your opinions, like, since we're tying this to like being ghetto and talking about hood, like how would you differentiate the two? I know we talked about it last weekend again, like all this conversation we had dates back to last weekend, but like, how do you define that in terms of if you were to describe that to someone, if they were to ask you like, yo, Julian, what's the difference for being hood or being ghetto? Or like, what's the difference for being hood and ghetto? Like, how would you explain that to like a 17-year-old kid or a 17-year-old boy that was genuinely curious about that?
For sure. Well, one, I would say just to anybody, to just speak very, very candid, I would suggest that one doesn't just randomly and loosely throw those words out, because the byproduct of throwing those words out can I know people overuse the word trigger, but it can trigger emotions in people to where they feel offended, and rightfully so, because these are certain spaces and environments that people come from. Right. So to just loosely throw these words, you can make people feel a certain way from that. Yeah. So first, I would tell people I know we're in a time where people just loosely throw words. That's this and that's that, and it's like, I would say, nah. I mean, I genuinely don't even use those words just because it's like, it's just not part of just, who I am. But the difference is, I would say a lot of times they could be interchangeable. Like it's hard to say which one is which. To me, it's very hard, and it's almost hard to explain because again, I don't use it in my vernacular. So it's like I understand how it can trigger, like it can really trigger people. So that's why I don't use it or throw those words like, oh, that's that or that's that. Because I also understand being from a certain environment, I have a certain level of empathy for it. So I would say just be aware of loosely throwing those words out first and foremost, regardless of what you think is what at the genesis, just be very careful of just loosely throwing those words because, you might be in a car going somewhere with a group of people and be like, oh, we're going into this spot. This spot is interchange any one of those two words. And somebody in that car could be like, hey, watch your mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, watch your mouth. I grew up in an environment like this. I was raised in an environment like this. This environment made me who I am. And you're just loosely throwing these words out, trying to be funny or add some type of satire to whatever you're trying to do. Watch your mouth. So, and that's why I say, just be careful on just throwing these words, or a person walks in that looks a certain way and this person is interchange those two words. You have to be careful on that because people will feel away from that. Like, I have cousins who look like that, or like I have sisters or brothers or aunts or uncles who look like, you know what I mean? It can bring a certain level of offense to people. So that's why for me, I never throw those words out. And I'm always not to say side eye, but I question or wonder when people just loosely throw it, because people just loosely just throw it out in a like, oh, it's this body is this, or this food is this, or that area is this. And it's like, yo, you're just throwing, like, you're just loose with that word. And it's honestly, it could be offensive. So again, first and foremost, I would just tell people don't loosely just throw those words out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's situational based. Like you said, we had all talked about that, how that's interchangeable. And majority of the time when the words get thrown around, it's usually in like a playful manner to people that are using it. But I get what you're saying is it's not playful if it hits the wrong crowd.
Exactly.
And then that's where it becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that comes with not having awareness, again, the awareness side of things of being around real situations. And that's why, like, you don't have to be in every experience or situation to know not to say something. I think you just got to be around the right person that's going to respectfully tell you, like, look, I'm going to teach you because you don't know, but you probably shouldn't say that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what life comes down to, right? Like, you shouldn't experience every situation that somebody else has, but to have the conversation of like, yo, just don't use that word.
For sure.
Because the way I look at it, man, is I think cussing, like, I'm not perfect. I slip up sometimes when I'm with friends and we're just casual, maybe having a drink or whatever. But I know how to not cuss.
For sure. Yeah,
like, there's so many other words in the dictionary. There's thesauruses. We got AI around here. So I think using certain terminology just makes me question somebody's capability of being intelligent.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right there.
and that's not knocking the two words. That's not knocking ghetto. That's not knocking hood. That's just saying there are so many other words to use to describe certain situations at a more consistent rate than to just throw out ghetto and hood.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the best way to put this is, we had this conversation maybe off camera, but the Pop the Balloon segment that I think I showed you, where there's a dude, he's dressed up pretty nice. He's got a collared shirt on, but he rocked a hat. He's got dreads, wearing a belt, boots, cut, just holes in his jeans, but it was a fly fit. He had a suitcase with it. The woman that was on there was like, oh, well, you just look, I think she used the term ghetto. Like, you look kind of ghetto and like you come from the hood and you look kind of like my brother. And then he respectfully, like I just said, he respectfully, and I think he says love, like, you don't understand, like, that's where I come from.
For sure.
Like, you can't say things like that. Like, I have an education, I have a bachelor's degree, I shower, or like, this is what I come from. Like, this is what, like, not what we are, but like, this is how I was formed to be. And I think the way he described it validates everything that you just got done saying, bro, because yes, you can come from this certain environment, right? But he still got a degree.
Yeah.
He still dresses to the T. He respectfully told a woman who basically said, "You're not of worth to me because of how you talk and what you're wearing."
Yeah.
Bro, he communicated so thoroughly. I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter what his accent is. It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter what he looks like. He communicated effectively, which we both know certain type of people that come from certain environments like that don't know how to speak and don't know how to manage emotions when it gets to the level of that type of frustration.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean,
My bad to be long-winded too.
bro, you're giving a scenario.
Yeah.
In situations like that, I mean, that's why when people just loosely throw it, you for sure a lot of times are and can and will be offending somebody.
Yeah.
It's just like anything else, whether it's racial, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's, a specific community, whatever. When you're just loosely saying certain things, you're going to offend somebody.
Right.
Even though you're loosely just throwing this out there, it's like, well, again, if we use a car situation, somebody in that car can be from an environment like that to where you're just throwing that word out and they're like, well, I mean, I'm here with you, and whether you're cool or not, it's like, yo, I came from an environment like this. So what are you trying to say? You're just loosely throwing it, but that hits home for somebody.
It does.
Where you're just trying to basically say something is sketchy. You could say something like that.
Yeah,
man.
sure.
Because that's real. Certain environments are sketchy.
Yeah.
Certain restaurants are sketchy. Certain whatever, anything could be sketchy. And that's understood to where somebody could be like, nah, this is sketchy. This is a sketchy situation. But when you attach it to one of those two words, now you're really throwing jargon on real environments, real situations where people come from, to where even if they're not of that, they're from it.
Yeah.
And that has an impact on who they become, what they've seen, what they've gone through, their friends, some of their formidable years. So you just trying to just loosely throw a word on it is attached to so much to where it's like, it can be offensive.
Yeah, for sure.
It can. And I don't think people think about, and unfortunately we're in a time where people just talk loosely. And that's a whole nother conversation.
They talk loosely, but I also think the education of understanding that just because people make it a trend to use those words all the time on social media to describe restaurants, certain areas around, in this case, we're in Phoenix, or in Arizona or in Chicago or in New Mexico. Like, it's just, there's other ways to say certain things without tying it to that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people speak loosely, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a lot of times people speak from a place of operating as though there are no repercussions for, and I'm not talking about violence. No,
for sure.
I'm just speaking on, when you speak a certain way, when you carry yourself a certain way, when you just loosely say certain things, I think we're in a space to where people really feel like they can just speak a certain way because they've never been addressed, or they've never been, I don't want to say checked, but they've never been addressed.
We could say, I think checked is, you could be checked respectfully, for sure.
Yeah, in a matter-of-fact way, of course. Yeah, they haven't been addressed in a matter-of-fact way to where they can see the seriousness on the person's face that's addressing them. And I think a lot of people have never experienced that, so they speak loosely until they encounter a situation to where somebody matter-of-factly checks them and lets them know, like, hey, look, I'm not okay with what you just said, and I want you to feel that.
Right.
And I think once people really see, like, oh, people aren't playing. Like, we're in this whole space of people playing around with people. You know what I mean? Like, people walking up on people, just interviewing them, asking crazy questions, playing with people. We're in this space in the world now to whereas I think we've gotten away from people realizing everybody's not playing. And there are some people who will take immediate reaction to it in the moment to where now you'll be caught off because you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to react like that.
Yeah, for sure.
We've gotten away from that a little bit. And I think there's a need for that. And with sports and certain things, we understand, like you understand, you do certain things, like you say certain things on the field or on the court, or like
spit in someone's face.
Somebody's coming after you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In that environment. And so that goes into life too. So if you've never experienced that, or you've never trash talked or said something crazy, and somebody starts coming at you crazy on the field or on the court or on, you know what I mean? Like, then you don't know, like, oh, and he's not playing.
Yeah.
Or she's not playing. And so if you never experienced that, you just willy-nilly just throw things out there, loosely just throw words out there, not realizing like, oh, everybody is not going to just be okay with you just
Yep.
throwing that out there. So I think that's something that we've, as society, probably gotten away from it in large portion to why we see things or hear things so loosely being said.
Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned that, dude, because there was a time back, man, I was probably in kindergarten, first or second grade, and my mom was a fifth grade teacher. Again, this is one of the probably lower poverty schools, if not the lowest poverty elementary school in the city of Cruces. And they used to take the fifth graders to the prison as a trip, like a field trip. So it's like the principle of it, you're thinking, why nowadays, why would you ever take kids to the prison? Like that makes zero sense. But if you think about it, I bet you all those kids, because I don't think they did it very long. They maybe did it for 2 to 3 years, and then that just got just wiped from public schools in Cruces. I guarantee you, a lot of those kids that went there left there with
that's not leaving their minds.
They know how to operate in certain situations because they were there. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they came from a very we call it sheltered living.
Absolutely.
That's what we call it. Like I had a sheltered lifestyle growing up. But they were put in real situations where I think my mom would tell me like some of the prisoners would intentionally try to scare some of the kids because you know how fifth graders act. They're trying to act cool, and they would just look at them and be like, "You're gonna be right here next to me. Just wait." It's like those TV shows that you see that do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think back to that, man, and I'm like, those kids were shown something that they'll never get to experience unless they really cross the line. And what'd you say? Have their tricked from them?
Tricked out of their position.
Tricked out of the position. Unless they're really, but sure. I would argue those kids that went, I don't think they're operating in certain ways like that. I don't think they're operating by saying those types of terms or just being able to just, like you say things out freely without thinking there's no repercussion for anything. Like there's real, again, consequences for things that happen or that you do or say. And I think a lot of us are just moving around the like playing God thing, bro, of just saying anything that they want.
Yeah.
Anything that they want.
Yeah.
And until they hit the right person, it's not going to look pretty for them, regardless of what they'll, even if you get checked respectfully, that's still something that hurts someone's feelings that know they're in the wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, I tend to think of that pop the balloon situation, man, from time to time. And I'm like, I feel like I would judge him if he was to have just changed everything about himself. Take, we all grow different accents by the areas that we move into. But I think if he was just to completely, fully switch his accent, completely start dressing like he doesn't usually dress, be somebody he's not, I would judge him for doing that. Because then you're talking about a people pleaser. Then we're having a different conversation of like, oh, well, you don't seem very genuine. I feel like you're trying to be two different people. But yet when he's sitting there trying to be himself and unapologetically himself, we're talking nonsense about him, how he's just not of a type of education or standard that other men are at. Like, and I can think of a few people that come from a very high status of influence that completely switched how they were based off of where they came from. And I think some of that is kind of like being a little bit of ashamed of where you're coming from. And also a little bit of like, you don't want to remember certain things that happened, which I could give you that reasoning, but I don't think anyone should try to pretend something that they're not based off of what they were embarrassed of coming from. Like, it's just all ingenuine.
Yeah. And I think that's also another form of being tricked out of your position.
Yeah.
Like if you're switching your whole order of operation to appease, you've been tricked out of who you are to appease. So there's a multitude of ways that people get tricked out of their position, but at the basis of it is just be yourself. Yeah. Because you're gonna also come in contact with people, again, irregardless of where you're from, what environment, how you've grown up. There's somebody everywhere in this world that has a similar story, that's growing up in a certain situation that might feel like, man, I'm really, I'm from this environment, but I'm really super, artsy. Yeah. Like it's every culture, every language, every environment has the same archetype of people. And I mean, every single situation, there are people in your city and other countries that are growing up, feeling, trying to do certain things and they feel the exact same way you do in whatever environment you're in. They're in another environment that's the same. Even if they speak a different language, they might look different. We're all the same. And that's the one thing that I've seen just traveling. It's pretty much the same stuff. It's the same stuff going on everywhere. The beauty is that there's just different languages. People look different. There's different cultures, but there's people in different countries playing Dungeons and Dragons outside. Yeah. There's people playing soccer. There's people that are super artsy. There's skateboarders. There are people that are doing music. It's the same thing everywhere. There's no different. So there are people just like you in whatever community you're in, and whichever, I mean, community in the sense of like, if you're an artist, if you're a singer, if you're a content creator, there's somebody in the same situation you're in every country, in every city, in every state, in every community. There's the same thing going on. Just be you. You're going to come in contact with somebody who's just like you, with even more of a similar situation of you, like, man, you from that environment too? And you felt like that growing up in this environment? I felt the same way. That's why I moved here. That's why, like, so you just have to be yourself. It seems cliche, but just be yourself, because again, you're just going to only revert back to who you are. You can only be whatever you're trying to project for so long, because it's not you.
No, it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, so you're ultimately going to revert back to who you are. You might as well just be yourself. Whoever you think you're trying to operate like, that mask can only be worn for so long.
Yeah, bro.
Because something's going to happen to make you still have to be yourself. So just be yourself.
Absolutely.
It seems cliche and it seems very simple, but no, you elevate within who you are. Because there are going to be other people who are just like you, who you'll come in contact with, who then that's who you build community with. So you're like, I never had to be like that. I could have just been like this the whole time, because he's like that, she's like that. We're all the same.
You find community a lot faster. It can seem like a darkness for eternity, right? Like it can seem that way, but it's just the allure of, or not the allure, but like the idea of being uncomfortable. It's like the idea of being uncomfortable feels like forever, because finally you are in a state of being everything you know you are and what you can offer. And that's vulnerability to an extent, for real. And a lot of guys can't live like that, bro. It's very hard to be vulnerable. But like you said, if you just tap into that, be yourself and be genuine, that community is going to find you real quick. And it's just so easy nowadays. As much as social media can be very negative at times, it's such a big positive when you align with the things that you are and what you stand for.
That's true.
It's going to bring you that community. Like, man, that was a great conversation, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, so to sum this all up, like what would you end this with, bro? For the guys that are out here listening to this and that are struggling with identity, they're struggling with trying to like sit in the like being myself is enough type of environment.
Well, I hope what we spoke about can really help. For one, I would say pray.
Amen to that.
Ask God, simply ask Jesus to give you, to put people in your life that are like naturally who are like you. You know, I mean, because the reality is, and again, it seems very simple, but like there are people who are just like you. Like it seems very simple, but like, yo, if you like to get fly and you like to get fresh and you dress, there are other dudes who are on the same type of time who also like to get fly, who like to dress, who care about their aesthetic. Like there are people who are like you. So the whole thing of, well, maybe I need to operate like this to be like no,
that's a good point.
Whatever you are, if you're super creative, if you're an artist, if you like to travel, whatever your aspirations or your specific gifts are, realize, and I hope me saying this really brings clarity to whomever, to anybody listening, whatever gifts you have, really let it resonate that you're not by yourself. And there are also other people that are probably feeling the same way as you, like, and I want to be around people like me too.
Yeah.
So don't ever feel like, well, maybe I need to operate like this, or take away of, maybe I need to not be as fresh as I am when I go around certain, like, nah, don't ever do that. Don't ever dumb down who you are, like the poem and
being inadequate.
Coach Carter.
Yeah,
absolutely. Don't ever dim your lights. No. Continue to shed light on. Just be who you are, so your light disseminates amongst other people and liberates them. So I'm saying all that to say, like, just genuinely be who you are, because you will come in contact with people who are just like you and who are like you naturally. Yeah. So never try to operate in another space. Now evolve and grow and elevate, in regards to who you are, but never try to switch your program or try to dim your light to try to appease or appeal to other people. No, stay true to who you are at all times.
Man, that was amazing. Yeah, bro, just do you.
It's that
do
simple.
you. Be unapologetically yourself. And I think that should be put on shirts. That should be put on a billboard. That should be the mantra for 2026 for these guys out here that are listening, you know, week to week, which we appreciate. But like always, man, we love you guys. Thank you for the support always. And please remember, go check out my boys' new music. It's out right now. Man, this guy is doing amazing things, man. So creative to creative. Appreciate you, bro. Again,
love, bro.
We'll catch y'all.